Today, we are diving into a story in Scripture that shows in a powerful way that through all things, God is our victory. So let's dive into Scripture and we'll unpack this idea a little bit. We're going to open up to Mark 4, verses 35 through 41. This is the story of Jesus calming the storm on the Sea of Galilee. Verse 35, that day when evening came, he said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along, just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats with him, and a furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat, so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion, and the disciples woke him and said, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. And he said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this, that even the wind and the waves obey him?" Right, so right away, we see the story of Jesus and his disciples in this boat, leaving a place that they'd been all day as Jesus is teaching this great crowd, all these parables and stories. And so Jesus and his disciples, they're probably tired, worn out, hungry, looking for a place to find rest after a full day of ministering to people. And so they hop in a boat and they begin to sail across the Sea of Galilee. But the Sea of Galilee was known for these great windstorms, right, that would just happen out of nowhere. And so here they are in a boat, huge windstorm, huge waves crashing over the side of the boat, and the disciples are freaking out because they're like, "We're going to die. The boat's going to sink. We're taking on water. We don't know what to do. We're tired. We're hungry. We're worn out. What is happening?" And they look over and they see Jesus sleeping in the boat, sleeping on a cushion, completely peaceful, completely unworried. Right? Because if I was the disciples and I'm in that boat, I'm freaking out too. Right? You and me, we're freaking out. We're in that boat. We're trying not to die. And so for them to then look over and see Jesus just not worried at all, they're a little confused, right? Because any human response would be fear and panic. But for the Son of God, his response was peace. Peacefully sleeping, no fear, no hurry, only peace. Which for his panicking disciples was not what they wanted. And so they wake him up, questioning and basically accusing him of not even caring if they drown. They're like, "What are you doing?" And instead of jolting up in a panic to grab the first bucket he sees to get water out of the boat, Jesus gets up and he looks at the wind and he looks at the waves and he says, "Quiet, be still." And to his disciples' shock, it obeys. The winds and the waves obey Jesus' voice. And then Jesus turns to his disciples and he hits them with a gut check. "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" And you see, this story can be a cool story that we read and we can laugh at the disciples of how could they be so afraid when they got Jesus in their boat. But the truth is that we are the same way every day as the disciples were in that boat. Right? Jesus is walking with us, closer to us than he was to the disciples in their boat. And when we have storms in our life that arise, right? When our boat of comfortability gets rocked, flooded, or even begins to sink, we freak out. We see no end, we see no light at the end of the tunnel, no victory over the current battle, and we begin to panic. But Jesus is standing there beside us, waiting for us to trust him, to call on him through faith, and believe that he can bring us peace, guidance, and victory over any storm and any battle that we will face in our lives. And so I ask you today, where in your life are you trying to stay afloat? Trying to win the battle on your own, when instead, through faith, you could allow God to step in, to bring you victory like nothing you could ever imagine.